Which Seattle Mariners will start on opening day? Find out more in today's video. So before we get into the video, I want to make a point that this is directed to a certain platoon, maybe even one other platoon that you might not have thought of, but this isn't directed at the obvious players like Julio, JP, Jorge Polanco, Ty France, Cal Raleigh, those type of guys. There's two platoons specifically that I want to talk about, and I kind of want to talk about their spring training performances and how this will translate to opening day. So starting with one of the more obvious ones, and that is the Luis Urias and Josh Rojas platoon at third base. So let's start off with Josh Rojas, and mind you, they both have pretty much the same sample size in terms of number of ABs. Josh Rojas is hitting .263 this spring with 1 home run and 5 RBIs. While the sneaky man Luis Urias himself is hitting .318 with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs, and a massive 0% walk rate, but that's besides the point. Truly right now at this point in spring training, and like I said, obviously it's just spring training, but Luis Urias and Josh Rojas are both making their cases on why they should be the starting on opening day. And as most of you may know, if you've been with this channel for a long time, is I talk a lot about Josh Rojas, and I believe he is very comfortable in a Seattle Mariners uniform. But Urias and Rojas are two very different players. Rojas doesn't hit for as much power and more average, while Urias hits for more power and less average. But as most of us know, there is one main thing that's going to go into this platoon, and that's whether or not Luis Urias can throw the ball across the diamond. He has had a few arm injuries this spring, and you could see kind of on some of his throws where he kind of is pushing it a little bit more, but hopefully he can work through that. But this platoon is tough because they are both doing really well and a lot better than people had expected this spring. So in terms of if they both are healthy, I think Luis Urias is going to get the start on opening day. But if that shoulder does come into play, Josh Rojas definitely has a stronger chance at being the starter on opening day. This platoon is a little bit of a toss-up for me because it really is tough because they are kind of different players, but they both kind of have the same ability per se. So some of you may not agree with what I just said, but in my opinion, Luis Urias would get it if they were both healthy. Now moving on to the more interesting platoon in my opinion, and some of you may not even think this is a platoon possibility, but it definitely is, and that is for the left field spot between Luke Raley and Dominic Canzone. Without a doubt, Mitch Haniger will be the starting right fielder on opening day. I don't really think that's a question in anyone's mind, but based on the way Dom Canzone is playing in the spring and the way Luke Raley is playing in the spring, there is definitely an argument to make Dom Canzone the starting left fielder on opening day. But there's also one little factor that I do kind of want to mix in after I go over their stats in spring training. But after today, Dom Canzone is hitting .296 with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs, as well as 3 doubles to put into that mix. While Luke Raley, unfortunately, on the other hand, is only hitting .77 with 2 singles. So for Mariner fans, obviously having Dom Canzone being able to show some of that success, as we know he also did put on 15 pounds of muscle this offseason, which is definitely something that he needed. It is kind of tough to sit here saying that Luke Raley may not be the opening day guy, but here's kind of where I'm at with the whole situation and based on how the guys are playing in spring. So spring training isn't that huge of a deal, especially for guys that already know they're going to be on the roster. So no way am I panicking saying Luke Raley is going to suck for us or any of that. But in my mind, here's kind of how I think about the two players. To me, I've said for a while now that Dom Canzone has a massive upside. I've been excited about him ever since we got him, and I think he really does have the ability to be an everyday player in the majors. And to me, I think Dom Canzone has some of that unproven power as yet. He's really yet to come out of his shell, which he's kind of showing more in spring training, while Luke Raley has kind of established himself as a power hitter per se. And the fact of the matter is, Luke Raley strikes out way more than Dom Canzone does. Last season in 173 ABs, he only struck out 32 times, which is really impressive. While Luke Raley last year had a 31.5% strikeout percentage, so definitely way up there compared to Canzone. But again, in my mind, this is kind of how it goes. In my mind, Luke Raley needs to be an everyday player if he's going to succeed. So what I mean by that is I think he would really struggle in that platoon role and only playing in about 80 games this year. While I also think that Dom Canzone could be a very good platoon player, meaning he could have only play 70 games this year and still do really, really well. So for example, Dom Canzone only played in 59 games last year where he had 6 home runs and 13 doubles and also drove in 21 runs. While in 2022, when Luke Raley only played in 22 games, he hit .197 with 4 RBIs and 1 home run. And then we saw last year when he really got his first full chance in the MLB how well he really did. So again, some of you might disagree with me here, but I think Luke Raley, in order for him to succeed at this level, he really needs the reps, while I think Dom Canzone doesn't really struggle that much coming off the bench. So as much as I want to sit here and really say I would love to see Dom Canzone in the starting day lineup, I really don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be Luke Raley in left, Julio in center, and Mitch Haniger in right, with Dom coming off the bench at some point in the season. But the guy's really impressing this spring, and a lot of people are really starting to notice him and really see that power come out a little bit. And in no way am I saying this is a permanent decision by just leaving Luke Raley out in left field all year, no matter how good or bad he's doing. But I think who's going to get the first nod, it's definitely going to be Luke Raley. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm not against either one of these guys. I think they both have good careers ahead of them. But with Luke being a little bit older than Dom, I think that also gives him the slight edge in terms of starting. But I truly do think Dom Canzone can be an everyday player at some point. So please let me know what you guys think about this and who you think the starting day lineup will be, whether it's Urias or Rojas at third, or whether it's going to be Raley or Canzone in left. But otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.